Alrighty, we just made it about 10 minutes into Mahou Shoujo Spec-Ops Asuka, or I don't remember the Japanese name. Stupid. And I know it's stupid on purpose, but it's stupid. What did you think?
There was nothing compelling about the show. The little bit of action scene that we saw in the first half of the first episode was really lame.
Yeah.
The characters are meh.
It
The
seems
girls'
like...
tits look awful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the fucking tits. It seems like the show is trying to be like an over-the-top kind of self-aware, almost parody. Like, the bad guys are like these almost like Kigurumi suit like monsters that are invading Earth. I mean, I don't know. We haven't actually like. It starts off introducing us to these magical girls who fought off this calamity from the past. We haven't actually made it far enough into the episode to even find out who the new villains are, or if it's like a return of the same bad guys or what. But just like the presentation of the first half shows that it is a very like dark, edgy kind of world where like people die and it's like a really serious conflict. But the presentation is not serious at all. Like it's making fun of itself. There's a part where they speculate that the main girl is like, oh, she's like a character from a late night anime, you know. But like if you're gonna do that, I would want it to be like really over the top and really fun. And it does have great music that sounds like it was made by Taku Iwasaki or Hiroyuki Sawano or something. Like right when you start up the show, you hear this pretty kick-ass bass line, but then like the visuals are just mega bland. So it's like
not impressive.
right, like if I wanted to watch a show that's supposed to be like an over-the-top action parody kind of thing, I would want it to look
to have
good.
good action.
At the very least. So, and yeah, the characters are all very boring and generic and standard so far. I could see people liking this one if you're into like really dumb, like fun kind of stuff. Like, I definitely know some people who I think would like this show, so I wouldn't say it's not for anyone.
Yeah.
But not for me. It's just a little too slow and a little too dumb. Like, I appreciate dumb shit when it's like fast and energetic and action packed, you know?
Same.
But this is just like, it's just very bog standard. So that's it for that. Oh boy, we watched 13 minutes of Kouya no Kotobuki Hikoukai, or the marvelous Kotobuki, something
Not
like
marvelous.
that. No, not even. What the hell were they thinking when they made this show? This is one of the weirdest productions I've ever seen. The main characters, like the main girls, and then like a few other like what will probably be recurring side characters, are all 3D models. But all of the incidental characters
are 2D.
What? I don't understand.
Why would they do this?
Why wouldn't they just make it a 3D show? Wouldn't that be easier? I would think. I don't understand. There are shots where 2D and 3D characters are like interacting with each other. It's so weird and jarring and bizarre. And like the 2D art is terrible.
Looks good.
Yeah, the 3D models are passable. But the 2D is really bad, and like the opening scene of the show, this show is definitely trying to be clever with its dialogue, and it is abysmal.
I think it might be the subs. But,
the subs added to it because they were really leaning in on the like this. It reads like one of those snappy, quick like everybody's trying to quip on each other. Everybody's trying to be like a cool guy with a fun thing to say, you know, or a cool girl with a fun thing to say, and like. So the first part of the episode, it's like first we are introduced to these 5 dudes at a table who are all like quipping at each other and playing cards. And then the main 5 girls who are also quipping at each other and eating breakfast. And then they quip at one another about how, I know you are, but what am I? We're going to be better than you at flying planes. It's a plane flying show. The girls are fighter pilots. They seem to be in some kind of system where you get points by shooting down enemy planes or whatever. Whatever the case may be, it's just a bunch of bullshit dialogue that sucks and everyone sounds really obnoxious. Like the voice actors are all like giving like very smarmy delivery. It's always like and like
And none of it matters.
ugh. It's cringe inducing.
Yeah.
And then there's this like they're about to go off to fight, and there's like a long ass scene of them like
Setting
prepping
up.
the plane, getting ready, going off the runway.
Like, the most boring part of preparing for a flight is the preparation. Like,
I would have to assume this is for plane nerds. Because I feel like
surely.
if you're a big plane nerd, you might enjoy watching all that prep. But it's very jarring to go from the quippy dialogue in the diner to that. And I don't know if this is like... I don't know if it's like a stereotype of, of fighter pilots. Because, like, I feel like every single movie or show about pilots always has them like shit talking in a cafe before they go to fly, like Top Gun or even Porco Rosso,
Yeah.
But like you have to be real fucking desperate for new plane media to watch this, like, which I know there's some people who are. So like I'm sure that's what they're banking on, is that people who just want to watch aerial dogfights are going to watch this regardless of how fucking strange and terrible the production is. But yeah, then it launches into the aerial dogfights, and they're, I guess, I mean, I don't know enough about planes to know whether or not it's realistic. It feels like they're trying to go for realism because all the planes kind of look the fucking same. Like, they're all designed to kind of camouflage against the sky, which makes sense, but it means you can barely tell the difference between enemy and main character planes, and like they're just shooting at each other with regular guns. Like, it's just a bunch of planes, spinning around and shooting at each other.
It's
and
really boring.
I'd rather play a video game. Like,
Yeah.
I'd rather just play a fucking flight sim or something, or a plane shooter.
Planes are cool. The show is not cool.
No, I definitely wouldn't. Like, I just watched as much as we did just to see where it was going. Like, I wanted to see the action scenes, but like within like a minute of this show, I was like, why would they do it this way? So yeah,
somebody will watch it, put minimum effort in.
I don't know. Like I said, only like staunch plane nerds are going to bother with this. Like, only people who are really desperate to watch like cute girls fly planes. But even then, the girls aren't cute
They're not
enough.
cute.
Like, they're
They're not
CG.
cute
They're
girls.
weird.
A lot of them are like older, like
Well,
rugged looking.
Some people are into that.
I don't know. One of them was like really. One was like really muscular. Didn't really like the designs of the characters. Thought they were kind of like.
Yeah, none of them are memorable.
Ragamuffin.
I mean, it doesn't help that we see them mostly all in one shot, and like they're all kind of over designed, and they're all CG. So like you can't really like latch on to any one design. Yeah, bad show. Nobody's gonna. I doubt there's anybody who's gonna disagree with that. Oh boy. We watched the first episode and a little bit of episode 2 of Domestic na Kanojo. And it was alright, I suppose. It's a smutty romance comedy. I don't know if there's much comedy. Drama.
Is there much romance?
I don't know if there's... Well, I guess this is the problem. The show's kind of boring. And it has a great premise, which is that the main character is this young man who loses his virginity to some random girl at a mixer. And at first, that part of it was boring. Most of the first episode was just about, like, him being like, I'm not sure if I should have fucked that girl because I like this other girl, but the other girl's completely unavailable and a teacher.
And his teacher.
Yeah, and, like, you're not dating her, so who gives a shit that you fucked some other girl? So, like, if anything, you should be glad you got it out of the way before you started dating pursuing the person you actually care about. But, like, so that part was boring, but then we have this incredible realization. Because the main character's dad is remarrying, and it turns out that both the girl he fucked and the teacher he's in love with are both the daughters of the woman who his dad is remarrying.
Yes. And you think that this would be a setup for a bunch of hilarious jokes.
They all move into a house together. Immediately,
They immediately move in. That's something my family would do. It's like, yep, we're moving in. I'm getting married.
Immediately they move in together, and right away we've got like the older sister who's like always walking around barely dressed,
drinking all the
completely
beers.
No self-awareness basically. In order to make this possible, everyone has to be dumb as shit. Like, neither of the parents has given a single thought to the fact that they are moving in not only a girl... Both girls are insanely hot. So, like, not only are they moving in a hot girl his own age, but also a teacher who's barely older than him with a teenage boy. Nobody thought about this at all. Nobody considered the ramifications. But, yeah, so he's literally... Like, now his stepsister is someone who he had already had sex with. So there's no... But they don't want to say anything because it'll probably ruin the marriage. Great plot idea.
Yeah.
What I want from this show is just a hentai. Like,
yeah. Not some, like, overly melodramatic bullshit.
Right, because I don't care. Like, the melodrama is boring.
Because the characters are, like, absurd and stupid. And you don't care about their drama.
No, they're very young and they don't have a lot of personality. Like, it's a lot like Scum's Wish in the fact that it seems like it's more of a drama about sex, like about the ramifications of sex, the characters' feelings about sex, but it's not a show where you care about the characters and then that drama has some effect on you. Like, for me, I hate melodrama in general. Like, I like drama when it's happening to characters I already care about, and it's like for instance, Sangatsu no Lion. Like, you come to like the characters because they are built up, and then when things happen to them, you feel something because you already like them.
Yes.
In this show, the characters are just immediately dramatic. They're just immediately all up in their emotions. And maybe some people can relate to those emotions and will enjoy it for that reason. At the very least, at the start of the show, before... I mean, the situation is fucking absurd, so nobody's going to relate to the actual situation. But, like, it sounds like a setup for a porn, like Imoto Jiru or something. And it just makes me want to watch a porn with the same setup. It just makes me want to go look up a...
And there's porn that look better than the show. Like,
The show looks pretty alright. I like the character designs.
I don't know. The character designs are fine, but it just, like, some of the shots of their faces look jank. And, it's not really
It's
animated.
not consistent.
Only, like, the sexy shots are, like, really impressive.
I'm just glad that the girls actually have asses.
Yeah. I just wasn't impressed by... I like the OP of the show.
Yeah, the OP is great. It's by Minami, and she's singing her fucking heart out in the OP. Like, it's a show I, like, wanted to like, just because I like that the characters actually fuck, and I like that the situation is so fucking ridiculous, and, like, I just would rather see a more comedic show than a more dramatic show. And it's also just really slow. Like, we started up episode 2, and it was just very plottingly going through the motions of, like, oh, I heard a new girl transferred into the school. Let's go check it out. And immediately you're like, well, it's just going to be the blue-haired girl. So then,
you know it's her.
There's like, there didn't need to be any build-up to that. And then they reveal it.
But
and
somehow
then,
they fucking milked 5 minutes out of that.
Yeah, out of him, like, telling her not to talk to him at school or whatever. And it's just like, okay, I don't need all this. This is just literally going through the motions of just, like, whatever is the next logical step for the story.
There's going to be no progress with the teacher, like...
With either of them, I would assume. I mean, the manga's been going for, like, 17 volumes. Like, I don't know if this is more of a cock tease or more of a romantic drama. Either way, it's just kind of boring. Like, aside from having that great setup, and the moment it was revealed, we were like, oh my god! And, like, that kept me going to try to watch a second episode, but I immediately was just, who gives a shit, who gives a fuck? You know? I can't get that soundbite out of my head. From Who Are These Podcasts? Who gives a shit, who gives a fuck? And that's it. Alrighty, we were just living my life in the Kemurikusa for 2 episodes of Kemurikusa. And I like it a lot.
It's pretty freaking cool.
It's the show from the guy who actually directed Kemono Friends Season 1. So it's like poetic that it's airing alongside Kemono Friends 2 and is way better.
Yeah.
It definitely gives me the sense that guy was not a fluke.
He's not a one-trick pony.
No.
It's still the same kind of, like, jarring CG, but...
It looks better in this show, I think.
Yeah, it does, like... It definitely fits the aesthetic of the show, too, because it's kind of, like, mysterious and haunting, and it kind of is good to have that imagery.
And the character designs are just as good.
They're pretty
I would
cool,
say.
Yeah.
Very different, but it's like different but the same. And like, I would say that about everything about it. I would even say that I kind of get the feeling that Kemono Friends might have been the product of this show, because it seems like this was based on a short, like a couple of 15-minute ONAs that were made by Tatsuki, like back in 2012, and then just last year he did like a series of 1-minute shorts that were like prequels to this show, and this one takes place in like a post-apocalyptic setting. The main character has amnesia and doesn't know what's going on.
They're fighting weird...
They're fighting like bug things that look just like kind of the things from the other show.
Yeah, they're pretty similar.
So I have to wonder if with Kemono Friends, all of those elements that were weird about the show were like where he was throwing in shades of this, you know, perhaps like... Because with Kemono Friends, what made people so intrigued by it was that it seemed like it was just going to be an excuse for a bunch of cute animal girls to hang out and be cute together. But there was weird...
like this dark thing bubbling under the surface.
Like you could tell that the park was not active, that it was like that there was all these weird dark undercurrents, which come more to the forefront as the show goes along. This show is like if that darkness was at the forefront, and then the cuteness was what made it kind of odd and like different. But like what really shines in this show to me is just the pacing and character writing. Like in the first episode, we're first introduced to the main girl, I guess Reen? Is it she Reen? There's Reen, Riku, and then the Rinas, of which there are...
Yeah, I think she's Reen.
There are 4 identical ones currently, because at the start of the show we're introduced to Reen and Rina, and like Reen is clearly like a big sister. She looks like a badass combat warrior. Rina's like a little girl by comparison, but they both clearly have some kind of powers. They're looking for water and they're fighting these bugs, and we get this spoilers, by the way, but you should go watch this show if you're interested. This is a minor spoiler for the first episode. Just to explain what makes it intriguing, because right away they get into fights with these bugs, and while Reen is fighting one, Rika fights a different one, and she kills it but dies in the process. And so Reen is holding Rika in her arms as she like slowly disappears, and it's like kind of
they killed like what appeared to be a main character.
Right away.
Right at the get-go.
You've got the only 2 characters we've met, and one of them has died, and like, because it is a cute little girl, you're definitely not expecting it, like, to happen all of a sudden. But then, in the next scene, so then we meet the older sister, and, like, at first she is represented by just a pair of ears coming out of a green line. Like, a pair of animal ears popping up out of a glowing green line that is, like, traveling all over the place. So, everything you're seeing is, like, well, that's interesting, but what the fuck is that?
Nani?
So then eventually you meet the big sister and as her full form. Like
she's like a level 10. It's like level 5 girlfriend, level 10 girlfriend, level 15.
They're all 3 Pokemon evolutions of each other, for sure.
She's pretty interesting looking. She has huge, saggy tits.
Oh, they're great.
And cat ears.
If you're going to draw big tits, that's how you do
circles.
It. But like all of them are red and black palette focused. So they all have red hair, red eyes, red accents on their clothes. So it's clear that they are all the same type of thing that is clearly not human even though they think that they call themselves human. But like when we meet the main character, who's like an isekai actual human, he, they think that he is a monster, and he doesn't know what he is. I mean, he thinks he's human, but he has no memories. So, but what's great about the scene is that she comes back to the base, and then suddenly another Rina comes up, and you're like, what the fuck? And there's 4 of them. So then we realize that they are sort of like a mass-produced set of copies, because they're all exactly the same. They all even have the same voice. And the fact that there's 4 means it's not just like, it's probably not just quadruplets. I mean, we know there were at least 5 and probably more at some point, because it's always implied that, like, a bunch of them have died. Like, it's not as though these are the only ones that, like, this is not the first death that these people have seen. So, like, just the way that the information is revealed, it's constantly like, oh, like, oh, she died. Oh, there's more of her. Oh, that's a pair of ears coming out of it. Oh, okay, well, now there's a human in there. And what, and then, like, it's cool because everything about it is mysterious, but it's not like holding the mystery as like a carrot on a stick in front of you as a viewer. It's not like ooh, don't you want to know what's going to happen? I just naturally want to know what's going to happen, because the characters are just living normally. Like, the story is not halting itself to raise a bunch of questions. It is just inherently raising questions by being interesting, by being unique, by making you go, oh shit, what was that about? I want to know more about that. Whereas I feel like a lot of shows, they have to ask you a question and be like, don't you want to know the answer to this question? And I'm like, not really, I don't care yet, if that makes sense, what I'm explaining. So yeah, the main guy, when they first, because he shows up like probably a third of the way into the first episode, suddenly a human appears, and he's clearly been isekai'd into this world. And at first I'm concerned, because I'm like, oh, like, that's a lot less interesting than everything else happening. But the character is really unique, because he basically is ultra apologetic and super interested in everything. And half of his dialogue is, wow, interesting, whoa, oh, I want to learn more about this. Like, everything he sees, he's immediately
even though he's like tied up.
Yeah, like, they're treating him like shit. They're like, they're tying him up, they're
threatening to exterminate him.
Yeah, they think he's a bug, and they're like, and they've never seen anything like him before, so like everything he does is suspicious, and like, they're constantly dealing with death. So if he was some kind of double agent, if he was trying to trick them, then they don't want to fall for it. So like, but he just seems like a completely innocent, like, deer in the headlights. But what's great about him is that in spite of all the threatening and all the stuff they want to do to him, he's sort of like, ooh, I mean, if you gotta kill me, but I'd really rather you didn't. Like, could you please let me live? Like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to exist. I mean, I don't want to die, so if you could not kill me, that'd be, like, that's his attitude about everything.
It's pretty fun.
It's entertaining to see that juxtaposed against, like, Rin, who is just very cutthroat and militant, and like,
doesn't even understand that she's, like, has the hots for him.
Oh yeah, she thinks that she might be getting poisoned by him because her face feels hot when she's around him and stuff. And like, when they first introduced that idea, I was a little bit like, all right,
cringe,
but like, I kind of believe why she would like him, because he's in many ways perfect for her, because he's somebody who just kind of just like inherently thinks that she should be able to have fun, and like, not like, she says something about how, like, the only thing she cares about is fighting to protect the rest of them. Like, her sisters all have some things that they want, or ambitions, or like, the younger sisters like to eat, and the older sister likes the tree. There's like, so they live in a boxcar, and like there's a tree inside of it that's like magical, and they can kind of control the tree. And the older sister's obsessed with the tree, so Rin is just like, I don't have anything I care about, I just fight. And the main guy kind of says like, she's like, I have to fight the bugs and gather water. And he's like, well, surely after you've done all that, then you can go do a thing you like. And she's like, I've never even considered such a thing before. But, like, having that idea put into her mind kind of makes her start liking the guy more and more. And, he's a nice guy. He helps out. He'll do anything. He's just
a nice guy.
He's a very nice boy. But, yeah, I love the another thing that's similar to Kemono Friends, like in Kemono Friends, all of the characters, while they were cutesy and fun, there was always this undercurrent of they are vicious animals who will eat each other. Like, and that's how these girls kind of are. Like, they're all cutesy, but they're like, haha, we will kill you if you do anything. Teehee, like all the little Rinas are just like, they're just vicious,
Yeah.
like they're all
they're very feral.
Yeah. So, like, it definitely gives me a very similar vibe to Kemono Friends, even though, like, color palette-wise and tonally, it's, like, the total opposite of what Kemono Friends purports to be. Whereas that show is, like, bright, sunny, na-na-na-na, welcome to the Chapari Park. This show is, like, living my life in the Kemurikusa. The fucking OP has the most, like,
so cool,
badass lyrics that are all just like, I'm fighting the darkness in this hell, like, and, the color palette's all very dark. It kind of reminds me of Metroid Prime a little bit, like, exploring the world and all the, like, bright lights and stuff in the darkness, very Metroid Prime-esque, so I like it a lot. I definitely want to watch the whole show.
Me too.
So there you go. There's the show we enjoyed in this pack. I try to go until we watch one that we like. And I'm surprised we found so many shows that we like this season. Why are all the good shows so badly rated on Mal this season? Like, I know that the shows that don't get watched by as many people tend to also have lower scores, but I don't get it. I don't get why people would go and check out those shows if they're not the type of people who would like those shows, I
think it has a lot to do with the people who would rate a show before being able to finish it.
That's also true.
Because, like, it's always going to be the most trendy shows are going to have the highest ratings at first.
Yeah.
Because the only people who are reviewing them are fucking assholes.
Yeah, people who would... I guess that pretty much says it, like... Because I always think, like, there's always a temptation I have to, like, go give this a higher score just to adjust the thing, but then I'm like, well, I'm not going to score it before it's done, so what if I change my mind?
I think there's also people who would just, like, rate things based on, like, what they perceive to be an objective critique of the quality of the show. Like, you see a lot of, like, shorts and, like, stuff that isn't animated as well, like, having lower ratings. Because people are just like, well, this isn't even animated, so it gets a 1.
I definitely think you're right about that.
I think it has to do with the fucking assholes that would rate the show before finishing
I just think it's weird that those people even bother watching these shows. Like,
yeah,
why do they go and try?
Why waste your time? If you only care about the trendy stuff, you could just look at what's on top of the mail list. Like,
I think there's probably some, like, it might just be that there is a sect of people who do just, like, watch everything the same way that I do, but just have a different taste, but they just do it out of boredom. Like, I get the feeling there's a lot of people who every season go, I'm gonna watch all the shows, but, like, not because they think that they will find something they like unexpectedly in the lower ranks, but just out of a sheer desire to have done it, Like, for me, it's like, I have to watch them all because I don't trust anybody's taste enough to expect that they're going to recommend me the right shows.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there are probably some people who are just, like, determined to watch them all, regardless of if they would even like any of them,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a theory. Good.